In this video, I'm going to show you the Claude Code commands that every Salesforce professional should know, how to see what's available, how to switch models, and how to keep an eye on what you're spending. Whether you're an admin, a consultant, or a developer, it's important to know these slash commands. So here we are in the terminal. Anything you type into Claude Code in plain English is a request. For example, why are Philly sports teams the best in the world? I'm joking, of course, sort of. When we type out and send these prompts, Claude reads the prompt, your files, makes changes, and then runs commands. But when you type a /, you're not talking to Claude anymore. You're controlling the session itself, controlling things like the model, context, cost, and permissions. You can filter the list of slash commands by typing in a few letters, just like you would in any global search bar. So the first command we'll look at is the help command. I'll hit enter. And then from this general tab, I'm going to click the right arrow so that we're under commands. This presents a list of slash commands available in this session. Not every command will show up for every user, since it depends on the paid plan and the setup. If you're ever unsure of what you can do in Claude Code, I'd recommend that you start here. Alright, so I'm going to hit escape to cancel. So the next thing I'm going to show you is the / model, and we'll hit enter. This displays a list of the different models available to you. Each model has its trade-offs around speed, cost, and depth of reasoning. So as you can see, I have 4 different models available, and then I have the default here. When it comes to Salesforce, here's a quick way to think about which model to use. I'd recommend Opus or Fable when you're developing something robust, things such as developing LWCs, an Agentforce solution, or complex Apex with a lot of interdependencies. These are tasks where you want the deepest reasoning available. However, I do want to point out that these 2 models have the highest consumption cost, Fable being the most expensive model. If we move on to the Sonnet model, Sonnet is considered the middle model. You should use Sonnet for everyday work. Things like building and debugging flows, writing validation rules, reviewing Apex, and drafting documentation. From my experience, Sonnet can handle much of the day-to-day admin and dev work without overspending on the heavier models. And then lastly, we have the Haiku model. I'd recommend using the Haiku model when the task is quick or cosmetic. Things like renaming fields, cleaning up labels, or drafting a SQL query. As it states to the right here, it's the fastest for quick answers, and it's also the most inexpensive. Another thing worth mentioning, you can actually switch models mid-session without losing your conversation. I've done this countless times where I was working on a request that was too complex for the model I was using. So I'll go ahead and hit the escape key. Alright, so the next slash command I'm going to show you is / usage, and then hit enter. This is where you can check your overall consumption. So you can see the consumption on my current session, current week, and then current week for Fable. If you're on a subscription plan like I am, rather than a pay-as-you-go API billing, you won't see a per dollar cost up here. So that's consumption. I'm going to go ahead and hit escape. Next, I'm going to show you / compact. As you can see, it says not enough messages to compact. That's because we have no messages in this session, only slash commands. But if I was in an actual session, this command can be really helpful. But to understand why this command's useful, it helps to know how Claude Code actually handles sessions under the hood. So how it works is, every time you send a new prompt, it's actually resending the entire conversation so far. It sends your original request, every response Claude gave, every file it read, every command it ran. That whole session chain gets appended to every time you send a message. So the longer your session runs, the longer the chain gets, and the more it costs to process each new message. Plus, once it gets long enough, older details can get crowded out and responses can start to drift. / compact fixes that by summarizing everything so far into a much shorter version that keeps the key details but then continues from there. So it's the same context but at a fraction of the length. Next we have / clear. So this command here is essentially a hard reset. It wipes the conversation entirely. So you would use this command if you wanted to move to a completely different task, like switching from debugging a flow to writing documentation for a completely different feature. Essentially a scenario where you don't need the old context to carry along. And then the last command I'll show you is / status. If you ever want a snapshot of your current setup, which model is active, your permission mode, this / status command gives you that at a glance without changing anything. So those are the commands I wanted to go over in this video that I thought would provide the most value to people new to Claude Code. Again, there are countless other commands. All you need to do is type / and then just scroll down and review all the commands that are available. So that's all I have for this video. Thank you all for watching today, and I'll see you in the next video.